This is the first in a series of 6 videos which will help you to revisit your mock paper in order to realise how you can gain maximum marks for each question. So here's a look at the paper again. It's important to make sure that you realise how much time you're allowed for each question. If you have a look here, it says that you've got 2 hours 15 minutes, and that includes reading time. Altogether there are 6 questions. 4 questions are the reading section and 2 questions are the writing section, and the paper is out of a total of 80 marks, and that's 40 for each section. In the exam you will be given 3 sources to read, and the front of the booklet will look like this, so it's a really good idea to actually have a look at where they've come from and what they're about before you start reading them, because it just puts them into context and helps you to understand them. In this video we're going to be looking at how to improve our answers to question 1. So question 1 will always focus on source 1, so that's the one that we're going to have a look at in this video. And the important thing to notice here is that the article is taken from an online newspaper. So this was the source that was in the mock exam, and it's a typical source 1. It's from The Guardian and it looks quite serious, and then you can see from the title that it's on about global warming, which again is quite a common topic to have on the exam. It's important to spend time to make sure that you read it carefully and that you understand the gist of the whole article. Okay, so if we have a look at the question now, it says, what do you understand from the article about the issues of global warming? And the key word there is what do you understand about the issues of global warming? So with that in mind, what we need to do is read the article again, and this time you're going to underline anything that seems important to your understanding of the issue of global warming. So what I've done here is I've underlined several points that I could perhaps use as a quote, and I've annotated what that means to me, just to show that I'm able to make inference from what I've read, because as you'll see in a minute, that's a really important part of the mark scheme for this question. So once you've read it once, then skim and scan again with your pen, highlighting, as I say, like I've done here, anything that you think is important to your understanding of the issue of global warming. If you want to pause the video here for a moment, it might be a really good idea to just read the annotations that I've made, so that will help you when it comes to improving your own answer next lesson. Okay, so here we have the mark scheme, and you can see that to get into a band 4 there are 4 bullet points that you need to consider. So the first one is you need to offer evidence that the text is fully understood, and the best way to do that is to use quotes from the beginning, middle and end of the article. The second bullet point shows a detailed engagement with the text. You can show this by making inferences and by rewording what you've found out in your own words, just to show that you've interpreted them, and it shows that you've engaged with the text. The third bullet point, making perceptive comments and connections, is just trying to think about things in a bit more detail and trying to make some kind of intelligent comment about it. So if you can do that a couple of times in your answer, that should tick that bullet point off. And then finally, offer appropriate quotations. So you must lay out your paragraphs in the PEE structure, but remember, you don't need to analyse language. All you have to do is put a quote and then show that you've understood it. On the other side here we've got the indicative comment, so these are things that you could say in your answer. So if you really want to be prepared for next lesson, you might want to have a good read of this and remember them, so that you can just write about it when you do your blue review next lesson. The final part of this video is to have a look at how to actually write your answer. So first of all, here are some phrases that you can use when you're explaining why you've put your evidence in there. This suggests, this implies, from this I can infer, and this shows that. Now all these phrases are really important to show that you've engaged with the text, because it's showing that you're thinking about what it means, what you've just read, and you're interpreting it and you're showing that you've engaged with it. So that's a sure way to tick that band 4 bullet point in the mark scheme. And then here we've got an example of how you might start writing your answer. So as you can see, it starts with the article start, so it's showing that you're referring to the beginning of the article. We've got a quote here, that's darkest warning yet, and then we're explaining what that means to us. So this emphasises how important the issue is and implies that we should take notice of them. It shows that you've thought about it and you understand, which is what the question is asking, what it means. So far then, we've got 2 paragraphs that are laid out like this, with a point, evidence, and then the explanation part, which is showing that we've engaged with the text. What you'll also notice is the connective, so we've got next, and then I might say a third thing that I learned. So it's just showing the examiner that you've got a logical structure to your answer and that you're probably covering all of the article to show a complete and full understanding of what you've read, and that's how you're going to get these 8 marks. I would probably try to aim for at least 5 paragraphs, because it does give you 3 pages to fill. So you want to try and fill as much of that as you can in the time allowed, which, as we said earlier, is about 12 minutes. If you spend any longer than 12 minutes on this question, then you're going to be taking time away from the questions that are worth more marks towards the end of the paper, and that's something you absolutely don't want to do. Okay,